All right. Welcome to another amazing episode where we get to talk about astrology and the stars. So today I've got the lovely Taylor and Norris, and I'm going to introduce her. She is a Usui and Holy Fire 3 World Peace Karuna Reiki Master, and also a passionate and compassionate, but must be right if that's come through. Certified Galactic Astrology Soul Reading and Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioner. She's also certified through the Bernadette's Brady Star School, to work with the ancient fixed star techniques to illuminate the soul and spirit before the horoscope and uncover your true star sign. Thank you for coming. And wow, we have all of these gifts and quite a few related to the stars and reading the stars. So, actually, my first question would really just to ask how you came into astrology. Like, how does that fit into more the healing work? Because I see that, we both have a background in Reiki. So, how did you come into astrology and allow that to complement your healing work?
Yeah, well, first, I'd just like to say thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure and honor to be here on the Awakening Dragon podcast. I've really been connecting with the dragon so much lately, so I
I've got
cannot
my new
tell
dragon
you.
out today.
Oh,
I
it's
just put
just
him up last night, actually.
what is it called?
Well, I'm not sure which dragon it is, but I'm saying I just put it up last night.
Oh,
So I definitely feel like one of my first dragon guides were blue. I didn't really feel it's an Asian dragon, but next year is the year of the dragon in the Chinese New Year. And he's got, the big chi ball here with the power. And I teach qigong as well. I'm like, I have to put him up. He's perfect for my environment and energy here.
yeah, I love that. I'm getting like the primordial black hole energies as well of
Yes.
the super cosmic
Yes.
points, and yeah, it's just lovely. So. Yeah, so how I got into astrology was actually Reiki. Reiki guided me. So very often after Reiki trainings, and this was definitely the
Mm,
case for me, it just started opening up all of my gifts and
mm.
talents and skills, and that had been there all along. And it also started opening up my interests that had also been there all along, different passions that for whatever reason, it didn't fit the mainstream paradigm, or,
Wow.
it was considered like astrology to be a pseudoscience or not taken seriously. I had never
Mm,
given myself permission to explore some of these really amazing areas of metaphysical study, despite since I
yeah.
was a little girl being super interested in the invisible realms and the clairsenses and what's possible and what's life and death and all of these mysteries of existence. What are they really all about? So, Reiki in my healing process, it was just slowly releasing those layers and barriers, that conditioning, that programming, all the different belief systems and institutionalized ways of being even. It opened me up to explore astrology finally, and
Yeah.
it was actually a particular transit too. I've pinpointed
Mm,
it to a transit that was lining up and working with my chart. So it was the Jupiter Saturn conjunction at the first degree of Aquarius that we had in the end of 2020. And that's
mm,
important. That's an important conjunction because we're about to have Pluto, of course, enter Aquarius at the end of January and stay in
mm,
Aquarius by the end of next year. So that particular conjunction really it turned my awareness back to astrology. And I also had a solar eclipse occur conjunct my ascendant, and I'm a Sag rising, conjunct the
mm,
galactic center. So this naturally was like exploring truth, exploring the galactic, exploring the stars, exploring higher wisdom. And So it was really from that moment forward, I was like obsessed with
Really?
astrology and
Well, I
taking
wonder
as
if
many
something must
courses
be
as
conjuncting.
possible.
I must wonder if something is conjuncting or transiting in my chart because astrology has always been something that it's like is cool. And I know there's a lot of wealth in the information, especially when I would run, the natal charts and really look at the details because I knew that it wasn't, your daily horoscope kind of thing. But I
Mhm.
never actually pursued to study it because I don't know, it almost felt like whatever I was aware of astrology, it didn't seem like it went far enough. It wasn't, I don't know, all encompassing. And so when I came to galactic astrology, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, it has the whole cosmos and the bigger energies at play. So I really felt that resonance on, completing the certification as well. So I'm just, yeah, I would be curious also whatever is happening in conjuncting and transiting. But yes, so you've also studied, I guess, a few techniques. And so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this Bernadette Brady star school. Like what's their fixed star technique and how is that different than the galactic astrology?
Yeah, so the galactic astrology is so unique and so remarkable that how the alignments are calculated are by projecting the stars or the galaxy, like Andromeda Galaxy, or the black holes, like the super galactic
Mm,
center, Shapley Attractor, projecting them onto the ecliptic. They're not actually on the ecliptic. The planets and the sun are on this plane that's called
mm,
the ecliptic. That the
okay.
ecliptic has to do with our soul, our solar system, our sun. It's like
Okay.
the communal vibe of our solar system is all on this ecliptic plane. And certain planets
Mm,
are inclined to the ecliptic. They're not on the ecliptic all the time, like some of the outer planets and the Kuiper Belt objects, and kind of the farther out you go and looking at
mhm,
the objects that are considered part of our solar system. So we look at alignments by projecting them onto the degrees of the ecliptic, which are represented by the circle of the natal chart, all the 360 degrees of
mm,
the natal chart. And that's so awesome. And in the Galactic Astrology School with Julia Balaz, we don't just, calculate fixed star alignments and see what's going on. We're also using our intuitions, other healing
absolutely.
modalities we're attuned to. We're looking in the soul records in a variety of ways. So it's by no means limited to just, what alignments you have. And what I
Yeah.
find too is when someone has a lot of galactic supra points, the cosmic points, the black holes, it's like, there can be so much more information that needs to come through intuitively to get a better idea of what they've been up to.
Yeah, I know. I could just get all these goosebumps in my body when you're talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that method of calculating, projecting the stars onto the ecliptic has been passed down to us from the ancient Greeks.
Mm,
And what I learned in Bernadette Brady's Star School is the way that astrologers and astronomers, which were much more interconnected, kind of the further back
mm,
in history you go from a linear perspective, is that the way the ancient Egyptians were actually looking at the stars and connecting with them, they were not projecting them on the ecliptic. They were actually using the whole sky. When we use the
mm,
ecliptic, we're just using the east and the west sky of like where the sun is rising and setting. And so this ancient Egyptian way is looking at the whole sky was planet Venus rising along that ecliptical path when a star was setting or culminating in a different part of the sky. So it looks at, again, the whole sky. It's this more ancient way, and it gives more clues and insights about other star connections that might be there
Oh,
that
dear.
might not show up. I know, right? There's more
Mm,
information. And it also, as far as the true star sign goes, is everybody knows, well, not everybody, but many people know their sun sign,
mhm.
based on their date of birth. Like, I'm born at the end of July, I'm a Leo
Sure.
sun. And that is not really a star sign because it's the star is the sun, right? Everybody
Mm,
has the sun sign. It's just the one star.
one son.
Right. Yeah, one star. We love it. The sun. It's wonderful. And this ancient Egyptian way is looking at the heliacal rising star, which is not the
Mm,
sun. That really
mm,
can be looked at as your star sign. It's a different
mm.
star based on the location you were born on the planet, the time of year, the exact moment of birth, all of
Yeah.
that information. You have a heliacal rising star. And so, with that information, you could build upon that. I'm a sun in Leo, and my heliacal rising star is Sirius A. So, Sirius A
Mm.
is, my star sign. In addition to that,
Ah,
sun
literally,
sign.
it's your
You know
star
what I'm
sign.
saying?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, totally.
yes,
Oh, I'm
yes.
so excited. I don't know what my star sign is, so I can see how it's just depths and depths. Like I can just see us like literally going down a step, like going down to more information really deep in that soul level. And I guess, because you've taken the galactic astrology and then just added a whole, another layer, another way of looking at it, it's proving or supporting that point I'm making, which is there's so many maps to look at ourselves and the world.
Mhm.
We've got to just go with the ones that resonate. And then when we're ready to deepen or to go into the next level of it, we do that. And so, with knowing our heliacal star, would that again just shine a different dimension on all the things we may already know about our chart? Or does that change it? Like, what does knowing about the heliacal star help us to understand ourselves?
I think it's another dimension of knowing oneself. And to me, it feels like an embodied energy. It feels like an
Mm,
even more embodied energy. I know after learning what my star sign was, it was like that just felt so magical and intimate and like this sense of home and belongingness and really getting curious about, for me, it is Sirius A.
mm,
So I was just so interested in learning what I could about Sirius star system and like those
mm,
guides, those beings and that consciousness and it really started opening up memories and gifts and a greater sense of awareness of my life and everything that's happened and then also kind of hinting at the promise of my life and why
mm.
things have unfolded a certain way, why certain lessons.
That,
It was kind of like a unifying principle in a way,
ah,
learning
yeah,
my rising and my setting star because you can get like information overload, and then when I would just bring myself back into the energy and frequency and kind of the mission of
yeah,
my heliacal rising, heliacal setting, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's what I signed up for. And I could just, it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like a
yeah.
centering, it's so resonant and clear. And yeah, it can be very, very centering too.
I love it. Well, I think that's definitely resonant with what I was saying earlier, when we spoke and we're discussing what we would talk about. It's like, how do we embody this energy, right? It's like literally, what are the stars? What are they actually telling us about ourselves? And how do we bring that energy into an expression? So, 100%, I love the embodiment. So, I know that you've run the chart. I know that you've probably put a few of them side by side to see what they say, but I would love to start with, yes, tell us about this heliacle star. What is my star sign? And what does that say
Okay.
about me?
All
Do you need to
right.
screen
So
share?
yeah, I will
Yeah,
screen
I
share so
think you should
that
be able
those
to.
those who
So we will
watch.
have this on video for those that are listening on Spotify or whatever. The video is available and is also on YouTube, but we'll also talk to it in case people don't have a screen.
All right. Does this look like you?
I know that,
The
yes, a lot of
Leo,
my stuff is
Leo
in a
rising.
bowl. Yep, that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So what
Right.
does this
So
say?
I've got her natal chart up, the galactic chart from galacticastrochart.com, the natal chart from astro.com, and also you can calculate the heliacal stars and perians on astro.com. So
Mm,
that's definitely interesting to take a look at. And so you can see here your heliacal rising star is Ruckback. And this is in the foot of the Archer Sagittarius.
mm, mm,
It's a star of reliability, of stability, steadiness,
mm.
and really this can be stubborn too. But
Yep.
it can also it can be alchemized into this gift of, yeah, just being really stable and focusing on long-term goals rather than just short term. It can be really helpful in amassing a body of knowledge, of information, a
Mm,
platform like what we're on right now. So it's to lead a life that is unswerving from what is held to be the true path. So you're
mm,
entirely committed to living that true path. And that can be where that stubbornness, a lower expression would be stubborn, but it's like really, really steadfast on
mm,
whatever your true north, your intentions are for this
mm.
lifetime. Yeah.
And so these
So
two stars, like they wouldn't show up on this galactic reading of the stars, would it? I mean, I'm just having a broad look, but I don't think I see them.
well, the Sagittarius star Ruckbat is not in that
Mm,
galacticastrochart.com calculator presently.
yeah.
I might ask that it be added. And what I will add though is your heliacal setting star. So this was the rising star is what star was rising on the day you were born, either
Yes.
right before the sun or like with the sun. And this was Ruckbat. The heliacal
Mm,
setting star is the star that was setting on the day of your birth when the sun was rising.
mm,
And so this is like a complementary energy that's very, very strong and powerful. And again, like centering, it kind of gives you
mm,
that other side. And for your case, it is Royal Star Regulus, the heart of the line in Leo constellation, and that star is available in the galacticastrochart.com calculator. However, you will see in your galactic charts, you don't have any alignments by projecting
mm,
Regulus onto the ecliptic. So you
mm.
have every other royal star in bright, shining colors. And you could be led to believe that maybe you have the frequencies and energies of the three other royal stars and Teres, Fomalhaut, and Aldebaran, but you don't have the energy of Regulus, when in reality you do have this Regulus energy, this heart of the lion energy. You have all four
So
royal
what did you call
stars.
the royal stars? And what are the royal stars for those who, well, even for me, I don't know what the royal stars are.
Yeah, it's the royal stars of Persia. So in
Mm,
your galactic chart, you could see them. It's Antares star, the heart of the Scorpion in Scorpius constellation. It's
yeah, I see
Aldebaran
that.
star in Taurus constellation. This is the eye of the bull.
Mm,
And then it's also Fomalhaut star in the mouth of the fish Piscis austrinus, this constellation that's below Aquarius. Is drinking the waters, the liquid light
mm,
waters of Aquarius, catching them in his mouth. And so Regulus is the fourth royal star. It's the final of the set, if you will, in the heart of the Lion Leo constellation.
mm. And what does having the royal stars, what would that indicate? I mean, I found a lot of very fascinating things about the chart. I think the last beautiful guest I had was talking about my grand fire trine and how I have
Mhm.
all the fire signs. So now you're talking about the full set of the royal stars. So what is that? What does that ordinarily indicate when you have all of the royal stars? Sorry,
A
other things are.
really, usually a really ancient soul who is blessed with opportunities in this lifetime to achieve great heights of success, of glory, of prominence, of achieving the soul mission in like a really big
Mm,
way. Fame, opportunity, again, success, power. And there's also with each of these royal stars a real nemesis. So it's like you can
oof.
achieve these these great heights, but you got to kind of like play by the rules, and the rules being,
Mm,
natural law, universal law, cosmic laws, those kinds of things. So depending on the royal star, there's a particular um, temptation where if you were to sacrifice, your
yeah,
integrity, your moral, your good morality and ethics, your true north compass, that whatever fame and glory and success you've achieved, you then have some kind of fall from grace. And it could be very devastating to yourself, but also if you are some, leader or someone of good status, this could affect a lot of other people negatively too.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
with Regulus, Regulus in the heart of Leo the Lion, it's a star of fame and opportunity. And as heliacal setting star, there's a strong belief in the correctness of your position or your path. You can see how
Mm,
that would go together really well with this ruck bat, where you're very, very
yeah.
steady on your
Yeah. But I
path.
can see how that could lead to the stubbornness as well, you know?
The stubbornness, and with Regulus, the nemesis, so the thing you do not want to do, the giant red X, is there will be opportunities often with Regulus star seeds and people with Regulus alignments to take revenge. So things don't go
Mm,
the way you want to go. You feel maybe betrayed or slighted, or that others did you wrong in some way. And there can be temptations for revenge. And if you do indulge in revenge, that's where that fall from grace can happen. That everything you've achieved then would fall apart, would collapse. So it's really just important to learn for Regulus, star seeds, to learn forgiveness and compassion
mm,
and letting things go, realizing that if you take revenge, you might not just be bringing somebody else down. You may or may not be successful at that, but really at the end of the day, you're definitely bringing yourself down. And from a unity consciousness perspective, it's like, you're either
mm.
way or both ways, you're bringing everybody down. It's going to hurt the whole. So, yeah, that's something to be
Yeah.
mindful
And so when you bring up, so because you've studied in like various things, so would you naturally pull up the different charts and see how they speak to each other? What's the story that calls to you when you look at the stars from the heliacal, stars and this galactic? Like I know that we're also using the intuition and all of that. Like what's the story that you would highlight? Like what does this tell you? I guess I'm looking for that link of, okay, so how do we embody this, right? Like, how do people embody their multidimensional self? How do we see that it's happening? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. So in I have actually 2 different kinds of readings for that I have 3 different kinds of readings because I don't like to throw too much at somebody because I find this can be a lot of information.
Oh,
I
yeah.
personally have been guided to do, offer readings for someone who just wants a chart reading. We just look at the natal chart. The galactic
Mm,
astrology soul readings, I look at the natal chart, the galactic alignments, and I also use Reiki. I do a Reiki healing journey that provides the healing and also provides the intuitive information with the soul records. I have not integrated the heliacle stars and parans into the galactic astrology soul reading. They felt like they needed to be a separate type of reading for
mm,
people who are interested in that set of information. Maybe there's someone who is familiar with their natal chart already, or they've already had some galactic readings. They've grown into their galactic awareness. Some people might even just be guided by that ancient Egyptian thread and just want
mm.
the that information specifically. So I have been guided to use them separately at this point on my journey and offer them as a separate kind of reading for that specific level of information. What I have
Beautiful.
found very handy is that when I do Reiki journeys for clients, often, so I will receive specific information about the stars that you see in the galactic chart, those alignments. And I can confirm, I can kind of cross-check whatever information came in the Reiki journey with that galactic chart. What I'm finding now, sometimes I tune into star energies that are not on the galactic chart. That's why I was so excited to learn about this other method where I can look at also the heliacal stars and Purans and be like, oh, that's what I was tuning into on that journey. I wasn't making up that, for the case of you, for example, that she has a regular soul connection that's actually in the other
Mm,
chart that, we could then get into in another reading. But I say with all of this, it's really take it at your own pace. And,
yeah.
like I have some clients where they want additional readings quickly and they're really hungry for the information, have a lot of space to receive the information. With other people, they might be satisfied with just one reading and maybe come back a year later after they've integrated. So I believe everybody is very different with the integration. But
Yes.
this is where I really see Reiki helping with the embodiment and the integration, and that's why I I often, I integrate the two as much as I can, the astrology
Yeah.
with the Reiki. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I've definitely come onto this path through the dragons. The dragons have led me here, my dragons, but also pointing towards different other practitioners who are, in the cosmic worlds. And lots of star information has come in. And in that unfolding or that integration of, who and what, is Katara, I think it's fascinating is there's a lot of pieces that point to the star energies coming in and my role in bringing them in as well, through my voice or light language or whatever activations. It feels like it must be my interest to understand the particular star energies because it feels like I can connect to them and yank them down and, transmit the frequency. But I think my lower mind, not that it's bad in any way, is wanting to understand. It's like, oh, like, what is that energy, of Sirius? Is that Sirius that I'm bringing through? What is, the Palladian, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot in me that feels, yeah, I can do it. And I know that the information has its integrity, right? Because it's beyond self. Like I can't even control the sounds or vibrations, but there's definitely the level of the mind that's like, yeah, but what is it? Like how can I pin it to some map so I can help people understand, why that energy is coming through and why, like as you say, to combine the things so that they can actually integrate and embody those energies.
And that's the practicality, what you just named too, because I continue to be so blown away with how intuitive and psychic and gifted, and how many people are coming to me where they've already had different impressions, they've had visions, they've had sensations, they've had knowingness, they've had different gifts and talents coming in, to varying degrees. And to have a reading and be so validated and to
That's
be
right.
able to get more specific. Oh, the reason you're channeling so much is because look at all these, for you, for example, look at all these alignments to the super cosmic points. And that sometimes, yeah, you don't know where it's coming from because it's coming through these big black holes where it could be coming from anywhere, outside of the Milky Way galaxy, outside
Mm,
of, our local Laniakea supercluster, our local galactic area, could be coming from different universes. So to be able to
mm,
validate people like that and to have them trust their intuition more, I think that is what the a big function and utility of these type of readings can provide, because then with that awareness of greater clarity about why they're having certain kinds of impressions and
mm.
visions and dreams and knowingnesses, then they can apply and learn to trust their intuition in their daily life with anything, not just
Yeah.
you know, what star energy is coming through me, but like I kind of have a weird feeling about going to the farmer's market right now, so I'm just gonna wait an
Mhm.
hour and then later or whatever it may be. I'm having a strange feeling about this relationship or this energy exchange. It's not off.
Mm,
They can learn to trust themselves more. That's what I feel like is so ultimately can help with that embodiment factor is that
mm.
trust, that self-trust. Yeah. And
Yeah. So you
validation.
mentioned some black holes in the chart. So what's considered a black hole? I'm not as familiar with them. So when you look at a chart, is it certain star systems? Like which energies are considered black holes?
Yeah. So in the galacticastrochartcom chart, you will get a notification that it's a black hole because it'll say galactic next to it.
Mm,
And on this chart,
right.
it's like that color of that almost like a deep
Purple.
purple violet color.
Yep.
So it says
Mm,
galactic, and then it'll say conjunct or opposite which black hole and
mm,
how tight an orbit is. So how exact the conjunction or opposition is. These black
mm,
holes that we look at so far, that's not to say there aren't others, is the galactic center. This is at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Beautiful
mhm,
energy. There's the supergalactic center, which is this even more supermassive black hole around which the Milky Way galaxy and 30 or more other galaxies are orbiting. And with these black
mm,
holes, they are the source of the local area as well as they're drawing it all back in. So it's like they're the
mm,
creator, they're the destroyer, and they're the organizer too, because
mm,
they're creating that stability around which all those different star systems can orbit. So there are these cosmic seeds of creation. Beyond the supergalactic center, there is the great attractor. And that's a cosmic anomaly that is so far out, we're not even really that sure, having the
mm,
language and the science to adequately describe what it is. but it could be a series of black holes, it could be something else, but
Mm,
it's an organizing principle of an even larger area of space that's called Laniakea, which comes from a Hawaiian word that means
mm.
immense, immeasurable heaven.
Oh,
It's so beautiful, the great attractor. Beyond the great attractor is Shapley attractor, and this would be like a similar source energy for an even more vast part of the universe,
mm,
containing Laniakea, but even more galactic superclusters. And again, we're not really even sure what it is. It's massive and it's extremely powerful. And you can see in your chart you have alignments to Shapley attractor and the great attractor and the super galactic center. So
yes,
three
I
out of
see
four.
that. So, look, I'm sure that our listeners are going to be running some charts, and we'll give the links on, where they can run their free charts. So, what to say to people when they run their chart that may not have as many alignments? Like, obviously, this is not true that, we don't then have access to intuition, or like, obviously, that's not true. But what does that kind of say about the soul journey if we can generalize? If people run their charts and they don't have as many of these kind of points, what does that tell us about their soul journey?
Yeah, I kind of get excited when I see I have a client with fewer fewer alignments. I'm like, oh, okay, like it's a little bit, more consolidated, but I find that there's no less information that can come through. We could just go deeper into what those archetypal energies mean. What I don't know that I could generalize to um what's coming through right now is that this could be a soul that's had a lot of incarnational focus or soul imprint focus on the earth specifically. And they're
Mm,
bringing very concentrated infusions of whichever seemingly few star alignments they may have. They're just bringing a lot of those alignments through. So it's a more concentrated dose of those star frequencies. That's
yeah.
one way you could look at it. Also, I would say to someone who maybe doesn't have so many galactic alignments to check out your heliacal stars and your parans because you can see even more star alignments by using this ancient Egyptian method. What I'm showing on screen right now is only three different stars, but they're parans, which look at the relationships between the various planets and the stars. So you might find that you have a lot of stars that are coming through the whole sky versus just the ecliptic. So that
Hmm.
would be another way if someone's like really keen to even go beyond their galactic chart, or maybe they feel
Yeah.
like they know the frequency of their galactic chart. That's where
Yeah.
looking at the Purians could be really helpful.
Mm,
And
yeah.
you
Beautiful.
might find too that someone looking at the whole sky, that same person that appeared to not have that many star alignments suddenly has a lot of star alignments.
Mm, fascinating.
So,
So let's just give our listeners a little bit of clarity on how to read their chart, because this is what it looks like when we go to that galactic astro, which again, we'll drop the links. So when they are placed horizontally like that, so let's look at, for example, the fourth row, which is the north node. Is the chart suggesting that that north node has all of those star alignments to it as well? Is that why they're placed horizontally like that?
exactly. Yeah, you see on the left-hand side the North Node. You see what sign it's in. And
That's
for
right.
you, it's Gemini, 9 degrees, 1 minute of Gemini in the 11th house. And then you see that it is conjunct the star called Ain in Hyades. And you see that it's a pretty tight orb. That second set of parentheses that says
Hmm.
0.46 shows how close it is. If it was 0.00, it would be
Yeah, it's
exact,
like
but 0.46, that's very
pretty
close.
close.
Yeah, under one. And it has to be close enough for it to even show up on this chart. So if it's showing up on the chart, then you know it is close.
Yeah.
That
Well, I
same
guess
north
it's
node,
wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to confirm what you had said, that it's also conjunct Aldebaran in Taurus and then opposite Antares in Scorpius by projecting those stars onto the ecliptic. That's
Yeah.
where you can see more of the alignments happening when you project the stars on the ecliptic versus the other method. You wouldn't necessarily see those same alignments. Yeah.
Mm. So I guess maybe like how you intuit and get information through those Reiki journeys, and I also do a lot of journeys for the clients into so many things, right? Using a map is just a starting point. And I guess for anyone who is running their charts and deep diving into the astrology now and the stars, it's even just running the chart, even if you don't know all the star energies yet. It's like, okay, now explore, let's say that North Node. Go and read up or understand what is the energy of Hyades or Taurus or whatever, and really connect to that and tune in. Because I feel, yes, we will love to get, a professional reading, but also trust yourself to do that intuitive deep diving and journeying, and then see how that information tells that beautiful story of, wow, like clearly I look like a complicated case here. It would be good, I think, for everyone to be in their power to know that they can access this information as well, right? This is just beautiful systems and maps to help us to do that and affirm and confirm and validate with professionals such as yourself, and that we can do a lot more of the soul work.
Yeah, and when I was first studying astrology, I would just stare at my natal chart. I would just
Mm,
stare at it as I was learning about what the different planets and the signs and everything, the houses, all of that. Like you can, it is like a psychic there's a psychic transmission or transference of
there it is.
information, even if you're not understanding it. Don't be afraid to just really look at your chart, and you don't have to know everything it means. And then it can start communicating with you.
Mm,
And I love also what you were saying with, seeing that the North Node is conjunct this Hyades star. You could simply, in your meditation, your shamanic journey, Reiki journey, and so on, ask to connect with I always ask for the enlightened expressions of the
mm,
Hyades energies, or the enlightened guides and beings in the divine intelligence of, Aldebaran star and Taurus, whatever energy I'm wanting to connect with, and then be open to whatever information is received. And you can even do some automatic writing, some
yes,
journaling,
absolutely.
channeling, yeah, about what's coming through. Yeah.
Mm. So what would you like to share with the listeners, or where to start if people are interested in their astrology maps and deeper meanings? I think since you've been there yourself and know that it was a certain, transit or time that you fell into it, what do you advise, or what would you like to share with the listeners who are beginning or deepening their journey with understanding their soul and spirit selves?
Follow your curiosity. That's what I did. I just followed my curiosity wherever, and it was so thirsty and hungry and compelling. It just wanted so much information. And the information I was interacting with was bringing so much joy and connections, and I just felt very much guided by my joy and my curiosity and my heart, and to follow. I would advise anyone to follow their joy, their curiosity, and their heart, and that can lead them to the correct forms for them, whether that's taking a course, buying a
Mm,
book, reading a certain blog, connecting with a certain practitioner. It's going to take you to a different form of that manifestation, but to just follow your joy and your curiosity and your intuition and your heart with it. It's your process, it's your astrological and spiritual journey. And that's the
That's
fun
right.
of it. You get to co-create it. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. We get to co-create it. I think we just have to remind people that we actually have the ability to do that, don't we?
we do.
Mm. So many gifts and different ways of seeing, right into the soul and spirit. I know that we can definitely go into many, many different tangents and things here. Is there anything else that you want to highlight, whether in my chart or of these systems? I know I don't think we even got into any of the stories, but what anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, I will just mention the star at the natal horizon or meridian for you because this is the ancient Egyptian method. You can see
Mm.
it's Anka star, and this is a star in the constellation of the Phoenix.
Oh.
So this is a beautiful energy. It's a star of mysticism and insight, and very little has been known or studied. So this would be a great start to tune into intuitively in your meditations and your journeys to see what it's all about. But
Mm.
it's as a angular star, which it is for you, it indicates a resilience to life's ups and downs. So an innate
Mm.
resilience. It also speaks of transformation and transcendence through insights.
Mm. I could just feel my whole body just like lighting up. I didn't know there was a phoenix star or constellation at all. So I'll just tell you a very short story. But Phoenix, I've always had an affinity with the Phoenix. I actually have Phoenix, well, as one of my earlier tattoos. And Phoenix obviously has a very big symbology in the culture and many cultures, but especially in the Asian cultures. And in one of my first shamanic trainings and initiations, like literally the first ever shamanic journey that we were doing to meet one of our guides, right? It was to meet the guide that was going to be there for the rest of our training. And the first guide that came through was the Phoenix. And of course, I always had the Phoenix that I knew, like I felt connected to. But it again really validated that awe. Like it really was the first guide that came through. And I don't really think he ever really leaves, he's always there. But what I found also interesting is how years later now, as I continue on the journey, the dragon now comes through. And again, culturally, it's always been the dragon and the phoenix as the yin and yang, as that embodiment of the whole. And I just find it, fascinating that these symbols, these mystical creatures can speak in so many layers, through that cultural lens of these two majestic creatures and then through my actual connection with them and the information they're sharing. So you telling me it's like, oh, I've got a star in the phoenix, it's like I knew it.
Yes. Yes. Phoenix. I mean, that's so beautiful. The very first guide you tuned into was the Phoenix, and this is one of your strongest stars. Yeah. So that's
Interesting.
like again, it's like a clue about you before you incarnated, giving hints to the soul and the spirit and like a very deep primordial like formless like imprint and intention of coming in with this to express through your human beingness on earth now this phoenix
Mm.
energy.
But this
So
is the energy before the form of this life or before all lives of this soul.
that's a great question to journey with. Would
Because
be my
the
yeah.
other link I'm seeing as well, again in other readings, other courses, other insights that have come through, my first form that I took was actually dragon, and it dropped
Mhm.
into whatever star system and things like that. So the first form I chose to take was dragon. So it's fascinating that now you're saying, oh, well, before you took form, it was actually the Phoenix energy. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. So I think I'll definitely have to sit with that and see how that comes together again.
Yeah, how they connect and how they align for you multidimensionally, for sure. Yeah, I'd be curious to
Mm.
hear about that too. What you discovered.
Multi-dimensional aspects. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
share your details with everyone in the show notes as well, because I'm sure that your readings would be very insightful. And it sounds like we should not miss out on the Reiki journeys to help deepen and integrate that information. I know how powerful the Reiki can be. I think that was also my first energy healing modality that I started with. And you shared a few things here, which I'll just read. Taylor's favorite questions to ask for herself and clients are: who am I and why am I here? Where do I come from and where am I going next? Her dream is to co create heaven on earth and empower cosmic peace, guiding you home to heaven on earth within through Reiki and astrology. So I'm definitely going to share all your links. And I think I'm super grateful and blessed to have this transmission and this sharing of information to help me to come into my deeper insights and awareness of all that I be. So, thank you for that. And sharing your love and passion of astrology and energy and all of that in the world. Thank you so much for that, Taylor.
It's my pleasure. It's my honor. I'm so grateful to be here and so grateful for your invitation and holding this space, holding this container, transmitting this out in the world. Thank you so much for your light work and your passion and your contribution to the wellness in the world and beyond.
Likewise. Likewise. Thank you so much.
Aloha.